It is time that we watch some cool shit, right? That's always the goal. Well, just oh shit, hold on. I do. Let's see. I watched this guy yesterday.
Stargate is a
Let's do popular. This dude's got a lot of shit, man. Who the hell knows? Oh, this is actually working. Let's see if this mutes me. That's fucking great. Wow, I've never been able to do this. Okay.
Natural diamonds were formed so pure and so real that to hold one is to touch the essence of time. This rare, exceptional beauty demands our responsibility.
Bodrix has correctly joined the channel.
That's interesting.
both a theory that says that we may all be immortal to people claiming that they're being
Oh, no,
gang
that's
stalked and providing evidence of it. Yeah, it's gonna get pretty interesting, and that's what this iceberg is all
don't get
about. Hello everyone, Book of Alice here, aka Ariel, and today we're going over the obscure theories iceberg, covering different and obscure theories. I grew up on that old YouTube that used to take you down those theory rabbit holes, clicking one video to the next.
Interesting.
So in the fritz of feeling nostalgic, I decided to cover this iceberg. But remember, this is all for entertainment. Don't take it too seriously. If you like what I do and overall enjoy long form content that you can play in the background while doing your homework or eating hot chip, consider subscribing. Also check out my Instagram and Twitter if y'all want. I'll keep y'all updated, and I post strange things and create interesting polls that y'all can vote on. Anyways, let's get into the iceberg. The water car.
Okay,
The
holy
water
shit,
fuel
that
cell,
fucked me
also
up.
known as the car
Okay.
fueled by
Hey,
water, is a
bro.
technical design created by American Stanley
There you
Mayer.
go.
Mayer claimed that an
Time for you to touch
automobile
buttons on your
retrofitted with the
goddamn
device
remote.
could use water as fuel instead of gasoline, which is beyond revolutionary. In a news report on an Ohio TV station, Mayer demonstrated a dune buggy he claimed was powered by his water fuel cell. He stated that only 22 US gallons of water were required to travel from Los Angeles all the way to New York. Furthermore, Mayer claimed to have replaced the spark plugs with quote-unquote injectors that introduced a hydrogen/oxygen mixture into the engine cylinders. The tragic thing is that Stanley Mayer suddenly died on March 20th, 1998 while dining at a restaurant. His brother claimed that during a meeting with two Belgian investors in a restaurant, Mayer suddenly ran outside saying, quote-unquote, "They poisoned me." After an investigation, the Grove City Police went with the Franklin County coroner report that ruled that Mayer, who had high blood pressure, died of a cerebral aneurysm. Some of Mayer's supporters believe that he was assassinated by corporate powers or government agencies to suppress his inventions, also known as the free energy suppression theory, a conspiracy theory stating that technologically viable, pollution-free, no-cost energy sources are being suppressed to generate more revenue for corporate interest. Quantum immortality. Quantum immortality is a theory of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. Quantum immortality is a thought experiment that puts forth a scenario in which you as a person survive definite quantum suicide. So let's break that down into simpler terms. Let's say you get into a box with a gun pointed at your dome. Somehow the trigger measures the spin value of a proton every 2 seconds. If it spins one direction, it does nothing. If it spins the opposite direction, the trigger is pulled and you die. The proton gives you a definite 50% chance of living, making it as random as it could be. Now stay in that box until 200 seconds have gone by, the trigger being pulled 100 times. Your chances of random survival have now plummeted to 0.000%, reassuring that you are indeed immortal. Every time you could have died, the world split into two, one where you face your demise and the other where you lived. Either way, the only one that you would have experienced was the one in which you lived, where your consciousness was existing, because you can't know that you died since you've never experienced death, making you immortal in your reality, sort of. Statue of Lucifer. Many people believe that the Statue of Liberty in New York City represents Lucifer. This is because Lucifer in Latin means son of the morning, light bearer, or light bringer, as he who bears or shows the light. Spiritual knowledge can be referred to as light or enlightenment as well. This parallels Lady Liberty's characteristics, as she wears a crown shaped as the sun and holds a torch to illuminate the way. RFID chip. For a long time, many Christian evangelical preachers would claim that the RFID chip technology was either evil, satanic, part of the New World Order, or the most prominent is that it's the mark of the beast. If you don't know, this mark acts as the seal for the followers of the Antichrist and the false prophet. The false prophet, aka the second beast, is the one who causes people to take this evil mark, and the mark is supposed to be placed in the hand or forehead, though some Christians prophesied that the RFID chip would be the mark of the beast and that everyone would be forced to get it during a certain time period from 2012 to 2020. Nothing like that ever occurred. Hollow Earth. The hollow Earth is a concept proposing that the planet Earth is entirely hollow or contains a substantial interior space. It was still occasionally defended through the mid-19th century, notably by John Cleave Simmons Jr., but by this time it was part of popular pseudoscience and no longer a scientifically viable hypothesis, but it still has some believers to this day. What's inside of the hollow space? Well, it depends on who you ask. Some strongly believe that reptilian shapeshifters inhabit this space, and that they're able to get above ground and control world governments, explaining why we get those creepy videos of politicians and celebrities with weird eye twitches. Others claim that there's an advanced human civilization living down there. One 18th century mathematician suggested that the entrances for the hollow Earth could be found at the North and South Pole. The United States controls the media. I'm gonna start off by reading this report from The Independent, stating, files we obtained mainly through the U.S. Freedom of Information Act show that between 1911 and 2017, more than 800 featured films received support from the U.S. government's Department of Defense, a significantly higher figure than previous estimates indicated. They funded movies like Transformers and Iron Man. This is almost not a theory anymore, but just a straight up fact. The US government does somewhat control what goes on in Hollywood. Not only that, they have also been revealed to have funded more than 1,100 television shows. It's insane that nobody talks about this either. This of course indicates that they pay for a certain public perception, always painting the US as the good guys, which is almost bordering on propaganda. Pipergate. In 2017, a strange and mysterious YouTube channel was created, going by the name Piper Rocks. She, or they, would go on to post videos that would enable a YouTube pedo ring. No older than 12 years old, she would post videos and revealing clothes and acting in strange scenarios. It was later found that the man behind the camera was a registered offender. Though the rabbit hole goes deeper. This quote-unquote Piper girl was posting videos of different actresses, ranging from famous child celebrities to YouTube child stars. Nobody knew if quote-unquote Piper was the person she claimed to be, as she wouldn't reveal her voice, up until the In the Woods editing my video was uploaded, which was rather strange, as it sounded like a grown man using a voice changer to make himself sound like a little girl.
Hi guys. Well, I was editing some of my videos.
Masaru Emoto Water Theory. Masaru Emoto was a Japanese businessman, author, and pseudoscientist who claimed that the human consciousness could affect the molecular structure of water. His 2004 book, The Hidden Messages in Water, was a New York Times bestseller. His conjecture evolved over the years, and his early work revolved around pseudoscientific hypothesis that water could physically react to positive thoughts and words, and that polluted water could be cleaned through prayer and positive visualizations. Emoto said that the water was a blueprint for our reality, and that emotional energies and vibrations could change its physical structure. His water crystal experiments consisted of exposing water in glasses to various words, pictures, or music, then freezing it and examining the ice crystal aesthetic properties with microscopic photography. He claimed that the water exposed to positive speech and thoughts created visually pleasing ice crystals, and that negative intentions yielded quote-unquote ugly ice formations. Pentagon UFO videos, the Tic Tac. On November 14, 2004, fighter pilot Commander David Fravor of the USS Nimitz claims to have investigated radar indications of a possible target off the coast of Southern California. Fravor said that the operator had told him that the USS Princeton, part of the strike group, had been tracking unusual aircraft for 2 weeks prior to the incident. The aircraft would appear at 80,000 feet before descending rapidly towards the sea and stopping at 20,000 feet, then hovering. Fravor reported that he saw an object, wide and oval, hovering above an ocean disturbance. He estimated that the object was about 40 feet long. Fravor and another pilot, Alex Dietrich, said in an interview that a total of 4 people, 2 pilots and 2 weapon system officers in the back seats of the 2 airplanes, witnessed the object for about 5 minutes. Fravor said that he spiraled down to get closer to the object, but the object descended, mirroring the trajectory of the airplane, until the object completely disappeared. A second wave of fighters, including pilot Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood, took off from Nimitz to investigate. Unlike Fravor though, Underwood's fighter was equipped with an advanced infrared camera. Underwood recorded the FLIR video and coined the description Tic Tac to describe the infrared image. The video would later on be confirmed to be real by the Pentagon. Selling your soul. Surprisingly enough, selling your soul for fame and fortune isn't such a new idea. Rumors of musicians making deals with the devil have existed since the late 1700s. In one story, a man named Giuseppe Tartini dreamed that the devil appeared and offered him a deal for his soul. Supposedly, the devil played the most beautiful song on the violin, and when he woke up the next day, he wrote down the notes he had heard and created a classic. Fast forward to today, many people think that artists like Lil Uzi Vert, Playboi Carti, Jay-Z, Katy Perry, and Drake have sold their soul to achieve superstar status. That's why we see satanic/Luciferian imagery in their videos, according to this theory.
Oh no, your girlfriend's dad doesn't like his gift. Maybe there's time to get a deal on something else. Wait. Hey, you might just make it to New Year's after all.
Or we don't like these friggin'
Today we are
ads.
launching 4 agents. Spotter Model
That's
for
this
data
shit.
modeling.
We got it, boy.
Spotter
Got it.
Viz
Yeah.
for visualizations.
Ancient cultures were advanced. Looking at ancient architecture from the past, you may question how these civilizations actually did it. Some have concluded that they were far more advanced than we ever give them credit for. Just take a look at some of these images. They look like they were created using power tools, right? With laser-like precision. Take for example the Puma Punku's precise stonework from Peru. These massive H-letter blocks were made using stones and sticks, as metal tools weren't prominent in the Americas at the time. We also got the mini pyramids across the world, which are still a mystery and up for debate on how they were built. Also the strange contradiction in history, like the ancient indigenous Americans knowing of the wheel and using them for toys instead of using it as a tool, and so on. Tropical Fantasy. This one is pretty complex and elaborate if true. Tropical Fantasy is an inexpensive soft drink originally from Brooklyn, New York. Its low price of 49 cents per 21-ounce bottle led to its success in the 1990s. Tropical Fantasy was initially popular in the inner city areas. The company did not employ large marketing campaigns and used simple store displays and low prices to sell its drinks. This made the product almost invisible to consumers not living in the areas where the beverages were sold. In April 1991, rumors began circulating in black neighborhoods that the beverage was laced with a secret ingredient that would sterilize black men. The beverage quickly earned the name Tropical Fantaside. The rumors claimed that the Ku Klux Klan was actually bottling the product and using the low price to attract poor citizens and to sterilize them. Later that year, rumors spread rapidly and provoked violence in many city neighborhoods. Attacks occurred on delivery trucks and storekeepers who stocked the Tropical Fantasy. Due to these rumors and rising suspicions, sales of the beverage plummeted by 70%. Now, the theory behind the theory is that due to its quick and rising popularity, as well as it being able to undercut its competitors in price, it's speculated that large soda companies were behind it all, generating the conspiracy in order to keep costs high. How did they do this though? Well, pamphlets were handed out throughout the public, warning people and spreading the sterilization theory, which became popular fast, but the source of these pamphlets were unknown. Mirror gazing. This one recently went viral on TikTok. Mirror gazing is basically the act of staring at yourself in a mirror for a long period of time, causing different types of hallucinating effects that creep people out. Some claim that when you do this, you're contacting the spiritual world, opening other dimensions, and or opening a portal for demons and other entities. There are tons of videos explaining how to do this properly and warning you about the quote-unquote consequences. Some also take a less spiritual approach to this practice, believing that it's good for your subconscious mind. But I don't know, what do you guys think about this one? The most dangerous book. This one is pretty vague and may be referring to the 48 Laws of Power that details the laws for attaining power in life, business, and more, and gives historical examples of each law in practice, as well as examples of those who do not respect these laws. The book has been banned by several US prisons due to prisoners using it to manipulate other inmates. It could also be referencing the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a book that perpetuated anti-Semitic views and was used by many controversial leaders to justify atrocities committed against the Jews. A fabricated anti-Semitic text describing a Jewish plan for global domination, the hoax was plagiarized from several other sources, some not even anti-Semitic in nature. It was first published in Russia in 1903, translated into multiple languages, and disseminated internationally in the early part of the 20th century. It played the key part in popularizing the belief in an international Jewish conspiracy. Randonautica. Randonautica is an app launched on February 22nd, 2020, founded by Joshua Langfelder. It randomly generates coordinates that enable the user to explore their local areas and report on their findings. According to its creator, the app is an attractor of strange things, letting one choose specific coordinates based on a certain theme. The most trending controversy involved a group of people heading to a beach in West Seattle, as ordered by the app, where they found a bag with two dead bodies, 27 and 36, male and female, as reported by Seattle police homicide detectives. In addition, Randonautica has also received allegations that the app is used for human trafficking, which its creators have strongly denied, saying that the data collected by the app are anonymous, though the data is collected. Tunnels underneath the United States. From the 200,000 abandoned underground bomb shelters from the Cold War to subway station projects that were left unfinished, there's almost another world underneath the US that is left uninhabited. Or is it? Mole people, also called tunnel people or tunnel dwellers, are homeless people living under large cities in abandoned subway, railroad, and sewage tunnels. Media accounts have reported mole people living underneath large cities, like in Las Vegas. It is estimated that about 1,000 homeless people find shelter in the storm drains underneath the city for protection from extreme temperatures. Some believe that these places are responsible for those that have simply vanished without a trace, and that dangerous criminals inhabit these areas to evade law enforcement, being free to do whatever they please down there. Now let's move on to the depths. Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman was a former NFL star and US Army Ranger that was killed due to friendly fire in Afghanistan. Initially thought to be from an attack, it turns out it was friendly fire from someone within his own group at close range. Further investigation suggested that it could have been done on purpose as well, due to his criticisms of the war at the time or simply knowing something that he shouldn't have. It was reported that members of Tillman's unit burned his body armor and uniform in an apparent attempt to hide the fact that he was killed by friendly fire. His notebook, in which according to author John Crakor, Tillman had recorded some of his negative thoughts of the war in Afghanistan, was also burnt, a blatant violation of protocol. Several soldiers were subsequently punished for their actions by being removed from the United States Army Rangers, though some believe everyone in the chain of command was complicit with his death. Gang stalking theory. Victims of the gang stalking phenomenon refer to themselves as targeted individuals. They believe that some members of the public are in cahoots with an organization that intends to ruin their life for various reasons. Most victims are unsure as to why they are being followed. Answers range from being in an elaborate scientific experiment to the government having a vested interest in them, all the way down to them knowing too much about the aliens and reptilians that run the world governments. Though the majority of targeted individuals are categorized as delusional due to their lack of evidence, some are lucky enough to provide proof. Take Vasika Tafara's story for example. When she would get home from work, she would notice that things were out of place in her house, like all the windows in her home being left open at the same level, cabinets being pulled out halfway, and lights being left on. She even found a camera in her son's bedroom. Worried about what was occurring, she searched online to try to find an answer and came across a gang stalking story that she could relate to. In order to see what was going on, she left her phone recording in a hidden place and captured what seemed to be various people rummaging through her home. When she tried to get help from authorities, they told her that they really couldn't do anything for her, leaving her feeling hopeless. Ernest Hemingway, the prolific American novelist, also had an experience with gang stalking. He would write about how the FBI or CIA would follow him everywhere he went, becoming paranoid about agents stalking him. He would sneak his way around the United States. Even having his close friends began to question his own sanity. He would later go on to describe it as the worst hell, having no privacy. Due to this paranoia, he was admitted to a psych facility where he underwent electric shock therapy. Eventually, the psychological toll of it all catched up to him, committing suicide in his Idaho home. Years after his death, the FBI was forced to release documents, revealing that Ernest Hemingway was being kept on tabs for years, tracking the places he visited and the people he met, justifying the paranoia. His close friends later went on to say that this contributed to his suicide.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise your hand if you've told your boss how to do the same thing more than once. Thought so. That's why there's Scribe. Go to scribehow.com. Click capture, do the task.
Nazi Antarctic base. New Swabia was a piece of Antarctica that was claimed by Nazi Germany in 1939, named after their expedition ship. The purpose of the expedition was to find and set up whaling stations for the Third Reich to increase the production of fat. Whale oil was vital to the Germans, but some believed that it was a cover-up for their true intentions, believing that they were building military bases and bunkers there. Operation High Jump is referenced as evidence of this being true. Operation High Jump was a U.S. Navy operation that involved the training personnel in the extreme frigid environments of Antarctica for combat. Advocates of this idea believed that they were in fact involved in an assault against German Nazi settlements in Antarctica, explaining the deaths that occurred during the Operation High Jump training. A supposed Nazi map outlining underground passages through Antarctica can be found online, crediting the KGB for finding it. The map details how German U-boats should navigate the underwater passages of Antarctica. The Middle Ages never happened. Known as the Phantom Time Hypothesis, this theory hypothesizes a conspiracy by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III to fabricate the Anno Domini dating system retroactively in order to place them at the special year of 1000 AD and to rewrite history in order to legitimize Otto's claim to the Holy Roman Empire. Some of the evidence for this theory is that there's a scarcity of archaeological evidence that can be reliably dated to the period 614 through 911 AD. Another is that the medieval historians rely too much on written sources, therefore heavily relying on the source to be truthful and accurate. Ancient Antarctica. Antarctica. Some believe that this is where an ancient civilization once ruled, believing that it was only covered in ice sheets 12,000 years ago based on the crustal displacement theory. Some support this claim by referencing Antarctica's pyramid-like geologic structure. This structure is a four-sided pyramid model, resembling the pyramids in Egypt, but geologists dispute this idea and believe that it's a result of natural geologic formation. Another strange geologic composition that was found resembled a man-made settlement. The rings surrounding the center look purposely designed as fortifications, but for what? The cold, predators, or enemies? Scientists credit the harsh cold winds that formed the structure, but others disagree. Nobody has actually explored the area by foot, and it was only analyzed via satellite images, so nobody really knows. Courage the Cowardly Dog, based on a real house. Supposedly, the single house in the middle of nowhere in the series is based on a real house in New Mexico, where an elderly couple used to live. They reported many strange incidents, and in one report mentioned seeing a skinwalker. Weeks later, they vanished, and only their dog was found in the home. At first, the story and picture that went viral seems fake, but the house is actually real, and located in a city named Truth or Consequences in New Mexico. But the reality is even worse, as the house was the place where the real gruesome murder took place by serial killer David Parker Ray, targeting homes that were isolated from people and emergency services. Ray soundproofed a semi-trailer, which was called his quote-unquote toy box, and equipped it with items used for torture. He used surgical tools on some of his victims. Yeah, the details are very disturbing to say the least. YouTube's algorithm rabbit hole. This is referencing the problem YouTube had with its algorithm, or I would say it was more of a downside to such good technology. Of course, going down rabbit holes on YouTube was fun, and it used to be even better back when a few clicks could get you on that weird side of YouTube, that conspiracy theory side of YouTube. But there was a downside. Online predators exploited the algorithm to help them find seemingly innocent videos kids posted for fun, but they watched them with a different intent, posting timestamps in their comment sections that showcased them in revealing clothes and positions. There was also a radicalization problem. See, YouTube's algorithm was made in a way to keep you from leaving the site, so they would suggest videos that were really specific to the niche you enjoyed watching, creating an echo chamber if you remained on a specific side of the website. So if you were into conspiracy theories, let's say, things could get very interesting fast. You would get hour-plus videos on how space is fake and totally made up to hide the truth of what's really out there. Though this was tame, as some videos and theories pushed people to radicalization, forcing YouTube to adjust the algorithm and add way more filters. Operation Northwoods. Now this one's quite interesting due to the fact that it's true. The United States was considering harming its own citizens in order to trigger a war. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated within the U.S. Department of Defense of the United States government in 1962. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and actually commit acts of terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government and using it to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in the document included the possible assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, hijacking planes to be shot down or given the appearance of being shot down, blowing up a U.S. ship, and orchestrating violent terrorism in U.S. cities. The proposal was rejected by President John F. Kennedy, though. The physical document on Operation Northwoods became declassified through the John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992. This act declassified a total of 4 million documents, including Operation Northwoods, and was made available through the National Archives in College Park, Maryland. However, public knowledge of Operation Northwoods did not come until 2001 with the release of the book by the author James Bamford titled Body of Secrets. People vanishing in national parks. On average, 270 million people visit American national parks each year, so it's not so surprising that every once in a while people go missing, right? Well, if it's a missing 411 case, it is. Missing 411 cases usually have strange similarities, such as the missing person being found in an almost humanly impossible area to reach by foot, or disappearing in a blink of an eye. And if they're found alive, most of them have no recollection of what had occurred. Take the case of Dr. James McCrogan, for example. After landing a brand new job, he went on a hiking trip with a group of physicians. Along their trail, McCrogan decided to not take the group break and just pushed forward. 20 days later, he was found dead, 16 miles away. On him was a charged phone with reception, working GPS, and minimal clothes, as his boots, sweater, and gloves were taken off. Some people blame the Native American legends, skinwalkers, wendigos, and other paranormal phenomena. The dead internet theory. According to this theory, the internet has died and has been completely commercialized and controlled by an unknown entity. People have stated that they feel like the internet used to be more fun and liberating, as opposed to how it feels like now, being more safe and bland, using the same websites and apps over and over again. Some report that most people online aren't even real, as most sites are filled with inactive accounts and bots used to fluff a company's buzz. This also goes for most sites being automated by bots. The majority of online articles are written by an AI, according to some believers. Global consciousness. So we all have consciousness, right? Of course, some people may seem like NPCs, but that's besides the point. This theory states that there is a larger consciousness, a global one to be more specific, and that we all contribute to it. through our own personal consciousness, affecting our community surroundings, and there's a group trying to prove that it's true. The Global Consciousness Project is an experiment begun in 1998 as an attempt to detect possible interactions of global consciousness with physical systems. The project monitors a geographically distributed network of random number generators and hopes to identify anomalous outputs that correlate with widespread emotional responses to extreme world events or periods of focused attention by large numbers of people. One example would be the events on 9/11 in the United States, which caused strange outputs by the number generators, like not generating at all to repeating patterns. The GCP is privately funded through the Institute of Noetic Sciences and is described as an international collaboration of about 100 research scientists and engineers. God's ego death. Ego death. It explains itself. It's the death of your ego, the thing that tells you you're more important than the next guy. It's the complete loss of subjective self-identity. And that's what this theory states. God's ego died. Comparing the Old Testament to the New and the Old Testament, we find that God unleashes his wrath in full display, if ever slightly disrespected. But in the New Gospels, we find that he is more loving and compassionate than his former being, showing the evidence of his ego death. Guatemala Stonehead. In the 1930s, explorers found an enormous, eloquently made sandstone statue in the middle of a Guatemalan jungle. The face carved in the stone didn't resemble the facial features of the Maya or any of the other people known to have populated the lands. In fact, its elongated cranium and fine features didn't seem to belong in the history books at all. Researchers have claimed that the statue's unique features depict a member of an ancient alien civilization that was far more advanced than any other prehistoric races of America we know about. Some even speculated that the head might just be part of a much larger construct underneath. This was found to be untrue though. Of course, there's a chance that the statue might be a work of a more recent artist or even a complete hoax. Sadly, we will probably never find out for sure. The head was used for target practice by revolutionary troops and its features have been destroyed to near obscurity. The whole thing about it not resembling the facial features of the population surrounding it, I think that's BS. We can see that even the Olmecs made sculptures with different types of facial features like we see in these. I mean, it's not like everybody looked the same in Guatemala. Phones cause cancer theory. Smartphones have become everything to modern man. It connects us to family, friends, and strangers. It provides tools that help us navigate Earth, order food straight to our doors, and pay for things without a physical exchange, keeping it close to you, in your pocket, bag, or purse throughout the entire day, and leaving it on your nightstand before you go to bed. Almost a literal extension on your body, but not quite. It's hard to remember that these devices are just tools, and like all tools, they're not perfect and are not without harm if used incorrectly. But do phones cause cancer or any negative effects that reduce life expectancy? Well, the answer is pending, as more research needs to be done, but many people attribute their cancer to phones. Take Nancy, a 34-year-old Asian American. She was a healthy avid runner. One day, she began to feel irritations around her right breast in 2009. She didn't think much of it and let it be, until the irritations got worse and worse. She proceeded to get looked at by a doctor, which led to the discovery of breast cancer. Nancy knew that breast cancer, or any cancer for that matter, had never been a problem within her family. Then Nancy recalled that she would always place her phone in her bra while she was driving. She estimated that she had done this for 10 years or so, for about 4 hours every day.
What's that song about gangsters moving all sneaky like?
Real G's move in silence like lasagna. You wrote it.
What? For real? Spin that.
Now playing on Amazon Music.
Real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings, not your notes. It captures everything.
Her doctor noted the correlation and reported it for a collection of similar results. Another example is Alexis, a 21-year-old that presented to the emergency room with a bloody nipple, discharging blood on her left breast. Abnormal masses were shown on the MRI. She too had a history of placing her phone in her bra, specifically on the left side, for hours at a time. Her mammogram presented 12 centimeters of cells distributed by tumors in her breast tissue, showing an outline of where the phone was kept. But we cannot draw a solid conclusion just yet. The modern-day cell phone began to stabilize its cells worldwide around 2014. Before that, the population owning smartphones was not stagnant enough to pick a sample from the population, where you could choose a control group. Music is more profound than just entertainment. This theory implies that music has more of a spiritual tie than we seem to believe, or at least more natural to humans. Usually, people would categorize music alongside other forms of entertainment like films and sports. What makes music even more unique is that it may have even come before everything else. Linguists theorized that music came first and that the language part came after. Evidence was collected from infant development, music cognition, and language skills that led scientists to believe that language may have derived from music and that it's almost a specific type of music. This theory is also highlighting the power it has over people, as music has been shown to reduce pain and even helps people with dementia recall memories better, improve general thought process, and even speak more. Though it can also be used for darker things, as music can also amplify feelings of depression and make one more aggressive. According to the APA, researchers from Iowa State University and the Texas Department of Human Services found that aggressive music lyrics increase aggressive thoughts and feelings, which might perpetuate aggressive behavior and have long-term effects, such as influencing the listener's perceptions of society. There is no truth. False societal order. This theory states that there is no absolute truth, and that we're all lost building upon what other human beings have made up. Though this may seem grim, some find this liberating and find solace in knowing that nobody else knows what they're doing. False societal order means that even though governments try to control the public and build up institutions in which we find comfort, it's not real, and that everything is a facade made to keep peace for those who take advantage of people, the mega rich and wealthy, or basically pawns in a giant game. And that was part 1 of the Obscure Theories iceberg. If you want me to make a part 2, let me know. Be sure to subscribe too. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.
We're gonna just let the next video play. That's the type of night we're on. Letting y'all know.
Predictive programming telling us what will occur in the future, the interesting paradox of time travel, the mystery behind the true purpose of the human appendix, and the wormhole to a 2D reality reveals that The Simpsons is actual footage of a family. That's all in this explanation of the Obscure Theories iceberg, part 2. Hello everyone, Ariel here for the Book of Alice channel, and I want to say thank you for getting the last video to 200,000 views in under 3 weeks. I appreciate all of you guys who stuck around and subscribed waiting for this part 2, so here it is. But don't get it twisted, my boy, I will continue to post this series and a lot more of these type of theory videos, so consider subscribing if you're into that. Either way, here it goes.
Not much, bro. What's good with you? It's good to see you here, bro.
Microplastics will end humanity.
What's good? What's good?
Microplastics are fragments of any type of plastic less than 5 millimeters in length. You may have seen the memes and other news going around about microplastics being found in the human body. Because plastics degrade slowly, often over hundreds of thousands of years, microplastics have a high probability of ingestion, incorporation into and accumulation in the bodies and tissues of many organisms. And that doesn't just count for humans. The toxic chemicals that come from both the ocean and the runoff can also biomagnify up the food chain, meaning that we're consuming plastics one way or the other. But how does this affect us? And will this affect our health? Well, research and studies are finding
Gotta fall asleep to some conspiracy theories.
Cancer. One paper made a connection between the increase in cancers found in wildlife and the microplastics.
I'm multi. Yeah, saw your live. Thought I'd stop by, bro. I appreciate you. Seriously, nah. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much, bro. Seriously.
Staring.
Your restreams are fucking goated, bro.
Over 7 hours a day
Seriously.
Staring at some sort of electronic screen.
Party. I
Now,
mean,
that's
like,
just the
I'm
United
live
States.
on
Now
party
imagine how
right
many
now,
hours
but like
combined globally.
watching,
This
I
theory states
sometimes
that
I
world
prefer
elites are
going
getting
on
us
your
accustomed
shit.
to staring at screens for long periods of time as some sort of control over the population in order to keep
I'm sure
us
you know how it
distracted
be. You
from
got
other
for the
things,
exposure.
otherwise known as
If
steering
you use
control.
OBS,
When you take a
I'd
third-person
look into
perspective view of yourself, it looks
Atrium
rather
multi-stream.
crazy.
I don't know
Often
what you
blankly
use.
staring at
If
something
you
on a thin
multi-stream or
screen
if you're
for
just
hours at a time.
on one platform,
Predictive
but
programming. This theory
I use
poses
this
the idea
plugin
that the government
and it's
integrates
free.
things
Just
in
pop it
popular
into
media
OBS
in
and you
order
can
to get the
stream to
public
like
ready
as
for what
many,
the next big thing
basically
is,
as much as your
whether that
computer
be a
can
new
handle.
tech or events that will occur in the
So
future.
right now I'm
Some provide
rocking the
evidence
YouTube
including
Kick
9/11
Party,
predictions in
Twitch, and then I'm
cartoons,
also live
games,
on
and advertisements.
TikTok.
Also, The Simpsons multiple.
But this is a first for
coincidences.
me.
Yeah,
I usually
it's
get
kinda
banned,
creepy to
and
think
it's
that some of
actually
these are
somehow
spot-on
working out, which is
parallels.
fucking lit.
Some also claim that the film Cuties was allowed to be on Netflix.
I've been
in order to
banned on
normalize
TikTok like
predatory
continuously. I
content.
think it's because of quality, like
Voiceless
the
pop star
stream
singers.
wouldn't
This entry
stay
is in
up, and
reference
it's
to pop
barely
star
holding
singers
on
that have
right
possibly
now, but
been
it's working.
voiceovered by
I have
another
to
more trained
mess
singer.
around with a few more
Also
things in the
working like a
encoder
ghostwriter,
and
but
OBS.
instead of writing
I'm
it,
just
it's
not,
singing the lyrics. Take for
this is
example
one of my
Milli
first,
Vanilli, exposed for lip singing. Milli Vanilli was a German-French
One
R&B
of my
duo
first,
from Munich. They became one of the most
vertical
popular
streams.
pop
I
acts in the
typically
late
don't do vertical.
1980s and early 1990s, with millions of records sold.
I won't
However, their
focus on
success turned
vertical.
to
I'm
infamy
just doing
when
this
it
for
was discovered
TikTok.
that Morvan and Pilatus
Stream
did not
elements for
sing any of the
multi-streaming.
vocals
Nah, yeah, I
on the
heard
music releases.
stream
They even
elements was
ended
really
up
good. I
returning
used to
the
look into
Grammy Award for
stream
the
elements.
best new artist.
Because you have some
And they
nice
could have almost
effects
gotten
too,
away
like with
it
the
if it
gifs
wasn't
and
for that
stuff.
mishap.
I
Imagine
can't do
how
all
easy
that.
it is to pull something
That's
like this
cool
off
as fuck.
nowadays with all the
I'm
new
definitely
current
gonna look into
technology.
some stream elements.
Yeah, I wonder how many pop
Because
stars
it
out
looks
there
like
are
something.
lip
It
syncing.
sounds like something.
Argentinian gnome.
Benefit.
The Argentinian gnome was an entity
Ooh.
allegedly caught on
Yeah,
film
right
in a
now
small
this is
town in
all like
Argentina
I
in
don't pay
2008.
for
The
anything.
creature was described
This
as
is
having
all just
terrorized a small
basically
town, but was
off
later
of
revealed to be a
OBS.
hoax since no one else in the
For the
village
most
ever
part, it's
reported seeing
decent,
anything
but,
of the kind. It was most
you know,
likely just rumor
could
on the
use
internet.
improvements.
Obama theories. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. His presidency was the subject of a 2009 film, The Obama Deception, by Alex Jones, which alleged that Obama's administration was a puppet government.
Yeah, nah, multi-streaming is the goat. I honestly, well, I always primarily focus on YouTube.
Of Obama's
As I see
presidency by
YouTube.
claiming that he was not
YouTube's
born in the United States.
shit, bro. You
This
have a
theory
way
has
bigger following
persisted
than I do. I have
despite
no-
the evidence of his Hawaiian birth certificate
Nobody.
and of his birth announcements in 2 Hawaiian newspapers
But,
in
bro,
1961.
gotta start off
Though some
somewhere,
believe
I'm
that
sure
these
you
were
know
made
that.
after the fact.
Oh,
Other theories also
thank
claim
you.
that Obama,
Racing
a Protestant
debut.
Christian, is secretly a Muslim
Hell
and
yeah.
was hiding his true religion in order to be elected. Vegans/vegetarians aren't crazy. When you think of the word vegan, what do you think of? Does outspoken and obnoxious usually pop to mind? Some person crazy about animal rights, protesting in the
Hell
most
yeah.
ridiculous way? Well, this may not have been by chance.
Hell
According
yeah.
to some, the meat industry puts out propaganda.
I was
to
on
make
Watts
vegans
for a
and
minute too. I
vegetarians
was
look
live on
crazy,
Watts too, but
theorizing
I'm
that
not able
PETA
to go
was
live on
started
Watts
by the
anymore.
meat
I'm sure you
industry
know they
to
closed
control
it.
the narrative by
Only,
portraying
like,
vegans as
Beast goes
extremists,
live on there,
as it
and
sometimes
maybe,
seems
I
like
think
PETA
Carl
does
can,
more
and maybe a
damage to
few
their
other
image
people
than
close
build
down.
up their reputation to look more appealing.
If I
mean,
could,
why would
I
you
would.
purposely turn people off from your organization if you truly want change? It doesn't make sense to put out ridiculous requests like stop using anti-animal language. You're just pissing people off at that point.
Build a website you love.
Fucking ads.
With
I have
words.
YouTube Premium. It's just this plugin that I'm
For your
using
words,
via OBS.
Create
Does
your
not
brand.
recognize my.
Gloria Ramirez. Gloria Ramirez was a woman from Riverside, California,
I'm sure
who
you
was
can
dubbed
see.
the Toxic Lady
Helps
or
my
the
case
Toxic
a lot.
Woman by the media when several hospital workers became ill after exposure to her body and
Yeah,
blood. She had
to
been
reserve the
admitted to
bandwidth, you're
emergency
right.
department
Well, you know
while
what? That
suffering
was
from
kind of my
late-stage
fault to
cervical
part.
cancer.
Like when I
While
started
treating
off, I
Ramirez,
was doing like
several
crazy
hospital workers
24/7
fainted and
streams. I don't
others
even do that anymore.
experienced symptoms
I was
such as
just
shortness
doing
of breath
essentially these
and muscle
visuals
spasms.
down here.
5 workers required hospitalization,
and I
one of
was
whom
just doing
remained
music
in an
over
intensive
that,
care unit for
like
almost
through
2
it.
weeks.
And I
Shortly
was
after
doing like
arriving at
leaving
the
it
hospital,
on
Ramirez died
24/7.
from complications
And
related to the cancer.
I'm
The
sure you can
incident
see
is
that turned
considered
to
to be a
problems.
case
But
of
even
mass
for me,
hysteria.
it turned to problems because I had
Denver
so many
International
copyright
Airport.
strikes
This
on
may be referring
YouTube,
to the
and
strange
I have
artwork
like two. I
depicted
have
at
like
the
a
site.
not two. I have
Denver
one strike.
International Airport has 4
And
murals.
during this, I
all
don't
of
know if
which
you've
have
ever
been the
gotten a
topic of
strike, but it's
conspiracy
horrible.
theorists
I
and
can't
debate.
get
The
any
murals are
views.
ambiguous in meaning,
And basically
depicting scenes
nobody,
including caged animals,
nobody sees
fires,
my
suffering
content because I
people,
upload
and a soldier with
daily.
a blade and a
And
gas
I've been
mask.
doing that for a
They have been
while.
interpreted in the past
And throughout
by
this
onlookers
month,
to
I've
represent
uploaded
war,
like 2
hope,
uploads a
and
day.
even
So I
the New
did.
World Order.
I do like
Blue
one
Mustang by El
standard
Paso
song, one
born
Christmas
artist
song,
Luis
just for the
Jimenez
people
was
who
one of the
aren't
earliest
so
public artist
in the
commissions for
holidays and
Denver
the people who are.
International Airport in
Whatever, fuck it.
1993. The 32-foot tall
and usually,
sculpture
like, a
is
few
bright
months
blue
ago, man,
cast fiberglass sculpture
my shit
of
was
a horse
going
with glowing red
nuts.
eyes, located between
But
the inbound
now,
and
recently,
outbound
ever since I
lanes
got
of
this
Pena
strike, when I
Boulevard.
started doing the
Jimenez
live
was killed
streaming,
in
oh my god, my
2006
channel
at age
had, like,
65 while creating the sculpture itself.
and
when a part
it's
of it fell
like
on him
it used to
and
be
severed
most
an
of my
artery in
growth
his
came
leg.
from the
At the time
daily
of his
uploads,
death,
and now
Jimenez
most
had
of my growth
completed
comes
painting
from
the head
live.
of the Mustang. Blue
People
Mustang
just
was
finding me
completed by others and
Computerstreamboo.com.
unveiled at the
Remove
airport
the
on February
space.
11th,
Add
2008. The statue
F9IALQVA.
has since been the subject of
I
considerable
have TTS on
controversy
Twitch
and has
and
acquired the nickname Lucifer
YouTube.
for its demonic
That's
appearance.
just a bot.
In 2020,
Someone's
there was
trying
a
to
video
sell.
trying to debunk these myths, all coming directly from the airport representatives, though it seems like the comments aren't really buying it. Toxic baby food control. This theory puts forth the idea that the government and
Yeah, bro, appreciate you
children
stopping by,
toxic
I really
food,
do.
whether that
Hell
be
yeah.
through their products and or restaurants. Not caring whether
I
it
was dead
contains
ass planning
something
on
as
just
dangerous as
passing out
heavy
if
metals or
nobody
not.
came in. I was just
Overall, prioritizing revenue.
I literally got a
well, this one's
pillow,
almost
my
100%
blanket
true.
and everything.
It's recently been proven
I was
that the
getting ready
most
to
popular
pass
baby
out.
foods on the market all contain high levels of toxic metals, which can lead to things such as
I think
cancers
TikTok is
low IQ.
being
Now,
rude
why
to
would
you,
this
and they
even be
tried taking
considered to be
away
done on purpose?
one of
Well,
your
some believe that
comments
it's a
or
way to
something.
keep control of the population, as they would be the
Not cool.
easiest to control.
Yo,
stoned ape.
I appreciate
The stone
you,
ape
Demetrius
theory
Trump. Seriously,
hypothesizes
thank you
that
for
the
checking
reason why
in.
the
Thank
human
you for
species has
popping in.
evolved
You're
to the
a
point
goat.
that we're
I'll
at
pop
now
into one of your
is because
streams
of
soon, too.
hallucinogenic
Guaranteed.
mushrooms. In his
You're the
1992
goat,
book,
seriously.
Food of the Gods, McKenna proposed that the transformation from humans as early
Always good to make
ancestors,
connections
Homo
around here,
erectus, to
especially
the
when most
species
people
Homo
are
sapiens
pretty
mainly had
whack,
to
you
do
know
with
what I
the
mean? Like,
addition
I'm just a
of
down
the
nerd,
mushroom
dude.
psilocybe,
It's dumb.
consistent in the diets, an event that, according
Chill,
to his
dude.
theory, took place in about 100,000
Hell
BCE.
yeah, bro. You have a
McKenna
great
based
day.
his
I'll
theory on the
definitely
main
be
effects
popping
or
in on
alleged effects produced by the mushroom. McKenna stated that due to the desertification of the African continent at the time, human foreigners were forced from the increasingly shrinking tropical canopy into search of new food sources. He believed that they would have been following large herds of wild cattle,
Hell yeah.
whose dung harbored the insects that he proposed were undoubtedly part of their new diet, and would have spotted and started eating Psilocybe sobensis, a dung-loving mushroom often found growing out of cow pats. This caused the
It's a fact,
individuals
bro.
who were
Mad people
consuming
whack.
psilocybin mushrooms
lit.
to be better hunters than those who were
Gotta be
not,
lit like that
resulting
shit,
in
bro.
an increased food supply and in turn higher rates of reproductive success. Ghost cities. Ghost
lay
cities are
down.
described as cities that vaguely appear in
Passing
the
out.
sky. Often reported in China, the cities appear to be floating in the sky when they suddenly disappear. Some claim that these are simply mirages, optical illusions due to the bad air pollution in China. Others believe that they're gateways to other worlds. These videos began to surface in the early 2010s on the internet. PRISM. PRISM began in 2007 in the wake of the passage of the Protect America Act under the Bush administration. PRISM is a code name for a program run by the National Security Agency, aka the NSA, that collects internet communications from various US internet companies like Google and Facebook. And by the internet communications, they mean your personal everyday chats that you have with friends and family, among other things. The NSA can use these PRISM requests to target communications that are encrypted when they travel across the internet's backbone. Its existence was leaked 6 years later by NSA contractor and whistleblower Edward Snowden, who warned that the extent of mass data collection was far greater than the public knew and included what he characterized as dangerous and criminal activities. The disclosures were published by The Guardian and The Washington Post on June 6, 2013. Subsequent documents have demonstrated a financial agreement between the NSA's Special Sources Operations Division and PRISM partners in the millions of dollars. Fake animal rescue channels. This theory states that those often viral animal rescue videos are most likely staged, and that channel owners are cruelly treating animals for views and money, portraying themselves as good people and heroes to the public for saving the animals, but in reality, there's something really dark going on. Backwards time travel complexities. Time travel is the concept of movement between certain points in time, analogous to the movement between different points in space by an object or a person, typically with the use of a hypothetical device known as a time machine. It is uncertain if time travel to the past is physically possible, and such travel, if at all feasible, may give rise to questions of all of its paradoxes. Many in the scientific community believe that backwards time travel is highly unlikely. Any theory that would allow time travel would introduce potential problems of causality, the relationship between cause and effect. The classic example of a problem involving causality is the grandfather paradox, which involves traveling to the past and ending your grandfather's life. This would mean that your father or your mother wouldn't be born, meaning that you wouldn't have been born either, as they wouldn't have met, which also means that you wouldn't have ever existed to kill your grandfather in the first place. This is all a paradox. There's also the bootstrap paradox that questions the existence of free will, if possible. Here's an example. Let's say you go back in time and meet up with the young Steve Jobs and give him the fully fleshed out idea of an iPhone, and he goes on to create them and releases them to the public. Now, the question is, who came up with the idea for the iPhone? Was it Steve Jobs or was it you? Where did the idea originally come from in this case? Dark web honeypots. This theory states that most, if not all, of these supposed dark web illegal websites are fake and simply FBI honeypots used to catch criminals. Yeah, that hitman you tried to hire on the dark web is most likely not going to take out your enemy. Those interesting red rooms you heard about won't unlock if you pay them 5 bitcoins, and no, the website you tried to access to order an atomic bomb isn't gonna work. You're probably on some type of list now. Me equals bugs. This is referring to the theory that the government or the powers that be are trying to accustom us to eat bugs, and that the final solution to our overconsumption of meat is to replace it with bugs instead. That means instead of farms full of chickens and cows, there's going to be farming of insects. But wait, it already exists. See, the United Nations published a paper on why insects have to be the food of the future in order to fix the hunger crisis we will face, as land scarcity and climate change become a norm, claiming that crickets are nutritious and produce way less greenhouse gas emissions than cattle, with a lot less land required. So overall, bugs need to replace meat, a rather scary concept to some.
This holiday, find the perfect gift with Groupon, like a pottery class with your friends. Personalize your voucher and send it with a tap. From beauty treatments to cooking classes, get local experiences for less. Turn holidays on with Groupon.
Bullshit.
There is always someone for you to talk to in New Jersey. At the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, we understand that life's challenge.
Ancient astronauts. Ancient astronauts refers to a pseudoscientific hypothesis which holds that intelligent extraterrestrial beings visited Earth and made contact with humans in antiquity and prehistoric times. Proponents suggest that this contact influenced the development of modern cultures, technologies, religions, and human biology. A common position is that deities from most, if not all, religions are extraterrestrial in origin, and that advanced technologies brought to Earth by ancient astronauts were interpreted as evidence of divine status by early humans. Let's move on to the abyss. Recycling is a scam. You might be surprised to find out that most plastics are not recyclable. Even the process to recycle the ones you're able to is a labor-intensive and expensive process. Making new plastic is by far cheaper and overall more convenient. In 1970, the recycling symbol was created and popularized as the sign that a plastic was recyclable. Plastic companies, in the effort to look good in the public eye, created their own symbol that looks really similar, although it doesn't exactly mean the same thing. See, their symbol is called the Resin Identification Code, and there's 7 of them, although only 2 of the 7 codes means that they are recyclable, but all of them carry the same logo, tricking consumers into thinking that all their containers are environmentally friendly. There's also a limit on how many times a plastic can be recycled, as the material wears down over time, meaning it's not sustainable at all. Interesting J. Epstein details. So I'm going to be referring to this pervert as simply Epstein, and use the abbreviation essay to be YouTube friendly. In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida began investigating Epstein after a parent reported that he had essayed her 14-year-old daughter. Epstein pleaded guilty and was convicted in 2008 by a Florida state court. He served almost 13 months in custody, but with extensive work release. He was convicted of only 2 crimes as part of a controversial plea deal, even though federal officials had identified 36 girls, some as young as 14, whom Epstein had allegedly essayed. Epstein was arrested again on July 6, 2019, on federal charges this time, for trafficking of minors in Florida and New York. He died in his jail cell on August 10, 2019. The medical examiner ruled the death as suicide, although Epstein's lawyers have disputed the ruling, and there has been significant public skepticism about the true cause of his death, or even that he died, resulting in numerous conspiracy theories, such as him being killed on purpose for having dirt on high-profile names like Gates and Prince Andrew. Both presented nervously when confronted about the allegations as well. There were also other fascinating mysteries behind his US Virgin Islands, where most of these allegations took place, like the strange artwork found there, as well as the many cameras found all throughout. Christian sun worship. Though sun worship has been used frequently as a term for pagan religions, it is in fact relatively rare. Almost every culture uses solar motifs and or hieroglyphs. Only a few cultures, some Indo-European, Egyptian, and Mesoamerican, developed their own solar religions, and some believe that its aspects were integrated into Catholicism and Christianity as a whole, explaining why we see tons of sun imagery in old Christian artwork. Also explaining that Jesus' 12 apostles represent 12 constellations and 12 zodiac signs that exist, and that Jesus represents the sun. But then again, this is all up to interpretation. Superplant apocalypse. As we progress into the future, our crops are going to evolve to deal with certain widespread pests and the changing climate due to pollution, so they'll become very resistant and strong. So who's to say that we won't eventually come to a point where we can't stop a certain crop from growing and killing other native species around it? Yeah, this theory is rather creepy. It states that a superplant apocalypse is possible due to a certain crop killing ecosystems, other varieties of vegetation, and eventually causing mass starvation due to it being a single crop with no other nutritional benefit. This would also go through the food chain, meaning that animals would suffer from this as well. The Bored Ape Conspiracy. Bored Ape Yacht Club, BAYC, or often called Bored Ape, is a non-fungible token NFT collection built on the Ethereum blockchain. The collection features profile pictures of cartoon apes that are precariously generated by an algorithm. Recently, there has been a theory going around stating that the company is ran by Nazi sympathizers. Yeah, it gets pretty interesting. Investigators have found similarities between the Bored Ape logo and the Waffen Tokenpath SS division of the Nazi military. Both share 18 teeth, which is a special number for Nazi sympathizers, as 18 is a cryptic reference to the Nazi leader Hitler. There's also some strange stuff going on with some of the co-founder Twitter usernames. One of them, named Emperor Tomato Ketchup, shares the same name as a controversial film that depicts graphic images of a kid throwing up the Nazi salute, and trust me, it goes deeper than that. Water is poison. This entry could have several interpretations. One theory puts forth the idea that the government is poisoning the water supply with contaminants that are known to be dangerous to humans. For example, some people think that fluoride in the water overall negatively affects us than do us any good. Although fluoride has many proven benefits for oral health by reducing dental cavities, there has been recent research that has brought doubt into the effectiveness of community water fluoridation. There's also been a study that found reduced IQ scores for children 3 to 4 years old who were exposed to fluoride in the womb, which is a pretty dark result for something that's supposed to be positive for us. The Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is an illustrated codex handwritten in an unknown, possibly meaningless writing system. The manuscript is named after Wilfred Voynich, a Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912. The vellum of which it is written has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, 1404 through 1438. And the text may have been composed in Italy during the Italian Renaissance. However, despite various hypotheses, its origins and authorship are unambiguously unknown. Some of the pages are missing, with around 240 pages remaining. The text is written from left to right, and most of the pages have illustrations or diagrams. Some pages are foldable sheets of varying sizes. The Voynich manuscript has been studied by many professionals and amateur cryptographers, including American and British codebreakers from both World War I and World War II. The manuscript has never been demonstrably deciphered, and none of the many hypotheses proposed over the last hundreds of years have been independently verified. The mystery of its meaning and origin has excited the popular imagination, making it the subject of study and speculation. The overall impression given by the surviving leaves of the manuscript is that it wasn't meant to serve as some sort of pharmacopoeia or to address topics in medieval or early modern medicine. However, the puzzling details of the illustrations have fueled many theories about the book's origin, the context of its texts, and the purpose of which it was intended for. Coochie's Key West Cafe. Shortly after the restaurant was demolished in 2009, an unnamed commenter going by many different names appeared online. This person has commented on websites all over the internet, usually with the same message, a long creepy rant about Coochie's Key West Cafe, his gorgeous wife Anita, and their amazing pie and cheeseburgers. Now, taken at face value, the comments don't seem all that bad, they're almost comical, but when you realize that there's hundreds of them, and they've been going on for almost a decade, well, that's considerably creepier. I mean, the comments themselves ramble on about nonsense, and are incoherent in nature, with a few keywords repeating in every other comment. And some are found on the most obscure websites as well, which have little traffic. People theorized that it was some sort of cryptic message, a way people communicate, until they came to the literal message and concluded that it came from an actual, now closed location, Coochie's Key West Cafe, but they would come to find out that the restaurant had been closed for years. So why would the comments start to appear now? Well, some theorize that the thing behind it is not human, but rather a web crawling bot made to leave comments on random sites to appear high on the search listing. And the owner does this on purpose in order to throw off potential future employers from finding the more darker things he's involved in, like scams and such. Redemption movement. This one basically involves people who believe that they have cheat codes that could unlock a secret money owed to them by the IRS. The redemption movement is a debt-resistant movement which is primarily active in the United States and Canada. Participants allege that a secret fund is created for every citizen at birth, and that a procedure exists to redeem or reclaim this fund to pay bills. Common redemption schemes include acceptance for value, treasury direct accounts, and secured party credit kits. Such tactics are sometimes called money for nothing schemes, as their aim is ultimately to extract money from the government by using these secret methods. Those who participate in redemption schemes, and especially those who promote them to other people, can face criminal charges and imprisonment. Several government institutions, including the FBI, have issued warnings about the fraudulent character of redemption schemes.
You know you could be vaping formaldehyde, which is used in taxidermy. Yeesh.
On Christmas morning, if your kid wakes up to this game stick, it's gonna be their favorite present. Let me show you what this thing can do. We'll plug in the included HDMI dongle. There we go. Switch over to HDMI 2, and boom. Turn on one of the 2 included controllers.
Flying rays. On December 3rd, 2004 in Mason County, witnesses reported seeing a flying manta ray. On a clear night, after a man and a woman departed Point Pleasant, the woman noticed a sudden movement in the sky over the Ohio River. It was a grayish, smooth-winged shape. The shape swooped in a figure 8 in front of the windshield and was gone in an instant. Another sighting was reported in Randolph County near Black Fork and Blackwater River. A woman and her daughter saw a manta ray-shaped creature that glided near their car. Fake social media followers. This on face value simply means that fake social media followers exist to make someone's account look more popular than it actually is. But this could also tie back to the idea that most accounts on social media are bots to make a website or app more popping than it actually is. Take for example the whole Twitter fiasco. The Pew Research Center estimates that 2/3 of all Twitter links are posted by bot accounts, not humans, and that automated accounts are responsible for 66% of all content on Twitter, which is rather unnerving. Elon Musk even reconsidered his purchase of Twitter Inc. because of this, and ultimately canceled his purchase. Mr. Michelle Obama. For a while during the Obama administration, there were rumors and speculations that Michelle Obama was transgender from a man to a woman. Some believe that Jonas River was killed because of her comments affirming this conspiracy.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down. You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
There was also a slip-up Obama had while on air that was heavily used as evidence for this being true. This was when Obama accidentally referred to Michelle as Michael, a simple but pronounced hiccup. It used to be found on YouTube until most, if not all, of the clips were mysteriously taken down. There is this clip though where he speculated to almost say Michael instead of Michelle. Take a listen.
President, does anything scare him?
You know, well, when Michelle's mad, I get worried.
Companies and government union suppression. If you don't know, a labor union is an organization of workers who work on maintaining or improving work conditions. They strive to defend and be the voice of the everyday worker by arguing for better wages and benefits. This theory states that governments and companies don't benefit from unions at all, so they intentionally suppress their popularity and the fact that it's completely legal to have. Take for example the Amazon situation and their campaign to stop the unionization of workers, as well as other companies. The outside of space. So we have Earth, we have the atmosphere that has layers, and we have the Milky Way galaxy, and we have almost never-ending space. So what's outside of that? Is there an outside of space and dark matter? Yeah, that's what this theory tries to posit. What is outside the observable universe? Some believe that space is infinite and that it goes on forever. Others think there's some mystical shit out there. And others believe that far enough you'll find repeating universes paralleling our exact actions and or different timelines.
Far out.
Bug chasing. Bug chasing is the rare practice of intentionally seeking HIV infection through sexual activity, basically sleeping with a lot of people to purposely get sick, which is rather dark, as HIV can lead to AIDS, which is a life-changing disease. There are some explanations for the behavior, ranging from sexual excitement at the idea of HIV positive status, to finding a shared sense of community with other HIV positive people, to being suicidal. By 2003, the concept had entered the public consciousness after Rolling Stone published Bug Chasers, the men who long to have HIV, an article describing the practice. Though it may have also existed way back since the AIDS crisis began, it has been since mentioned and or the focus of pieces of media and popular culture. Bug chasing behavior still persists as a niche behavior, in spite of the widespread availability of effective treatments that protect against HIV transmission and otherwise unprotected sex. The precise origins of bug chasing, the pursuit of HIV infection, are largely unknown, with its inception located either at the beginnings of the AIDS crisis or closer to the 1990s, but some believe that it was a planted fake story used to bash the homosexual community at the time, as they were often blamed for the AIDS epidemic. UFO time travel. UFO time travel may be in reference to the theory that believes that UFOs are simply people from the future using a time machine to go back in time, proving why they're usually not disturbing anything but rather hovering and observing, most likely trying to avoid the butterfly effect. But every time they've been caught on camera or crash landed, they subtly change the future, which is almost a theory within a theory. It goes deep. Nephilim. The Nephilim are mysterious beings or people in the Hebrew Bible who are large and strong. The word Nephilim is loosely translated as giants in some translations of the Hebrew Bible, but left untranslated in others. Jewish explanations interpret them as hybrid sons of fallen angels and humans on earth. The main reference to them is in Genesis, but the passage is ambiguous and the identity of the Nephilim is disputed. According to the book of Numbers 13:33, they later inhabited Canaan at the time of the Israelite conquest of Canaan. Writer Cotton Mather believed that the fossilized leg bones and teeth discovered near Albany, New York in 1705 were the remains of Nephilim who perished in the Great Flood. Paleontologists have then identified them as mastodon remains though. Let's move on to the pit. Purposeful crazy misinformation. This entry puts forth the idea that the powers that be put out crazy conspiracy theories in order to delegitimize the ones that are potentially real. This would make sense, right? You have a conspiracy theory like Big Brother is watching our every other move, and another theory that states that cartoon characters are real inside of an alternate universe. One of them does best to discredit the rest by making conspiracy theory followers sound completely loony. The Clinton body count. The Clinton body count refers to a conspiracy theory, parts of which have been advanced by Newsmax publisher Christopher Rudy among others, that asserts that former US President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary Clinton have assassinated 50 or more of their associates. Such accusations have been around at least since the 1990s, when a pseudo-documentary film called The Clinton's Chronicles, produced by Larry Nicholas and promoted by Reverend Jerry Falwell, accused Bill Clinton of multiple crimes including murder. One example is the murder of Seth Rich, which occurred on July 10, 2016 at 4:20 a.m. in the Bloomingdale neighborhood of Washington, D.C. Rich died about an hour and a half after being shot twice in the back. He was murdered by an unknown perpetrator for unknown reasons, but police suspected that he had been the victim of an attempted robbery. The 27-year-old Rich was an employee of the Democratic National Committee, and his murder spawned several conspiracy theories, claiming that Rich had been involved with the leaked DNC emails in 2016. Scum Manifesto. Scum Manifesto was a radical feminist manifesto by Valerie Solanas, published in 1967. It argues that men have ruined the world and that it's up to women to fix it. To achieve this goal, it suggests the formation of Scum, an organization dedicated to overthrowing society and eliminating the male sex. The manifesto has been described as a satire or parody, especially due to its parallels with Freud's theory of femininity, though this is disputed. The term scum appeared on the cover of the first edition of Olympia Press as SCUM, and it was said to stand for Society for Cutting Up Men. Solanas objected though, insisting that it was not an acronym, although the expanded term appeared in a Village Voice ad she had written in 1967. The manifesto was little known until Solanas attempted to murder Andy Warhol in 1968, going into Andy Warhol's art studio and shooting him. This event brought significant public attention to the manifesto and Solanas herself. Some believe that the whole crazy SJW feminist movement was proof that a group of women were taking action and fulfilling what the book wanted.
I had a crazy idea. We were surprised that no one had done it before.
These
Success
friggin'
doesn't follow a
ads,
formula,
bro.
and neither do you.
Who knew that dancing with dogs?
Fruit Machine, aka Gaydar. This one's actually got some ground in reality.
real.
The Fruit Machine was a device developed in Canada by Frank Robert Wake in the 1950s that was supposed to be able to identify gay men, derogatorily referred to as fruits. The subjects were made to view graphic images of men. The device then measured the diameter of the pupils of their eyes, the perspiration, and the pulse for a supposed erotic response. The machine was employed in Canada in the 1950s and 1960s during a campaign to eliminate all gay men from the civil service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the military. A substantial number of workers lost their jobs because of this. People were first led to believe that the machine's purpose was to rate stress, which was a blatant lie though. After knowledge of its real purpose became widespread, few people volunteered for it. 5G health concerns. There's a community of people online who are heavily against the widespread use of 5G and the cell towers that are being built to support it. They claim that it slowly kills people and makes them sick, causing some to take action by starting protests and trying to destroy the cell towers themselves, claiming it increases the risk of cancer, dementia, autism, and infertility. Artificial food shortage. The food shortage conspiracy theory is a conspiracy theory which states that there's a plot to create an artificial famine, predominantly in the United States and globally. It lampoons on the idea of that the infrastructure of the food supply is under attack by outside forces in order to manufacture a famine, a way to strike fear into the population and keep them under control. Banned.video/BitChute. These are basically websites where a lot of people ran to when they were banned off YouTube, and where some now find their conspiratorial content. For example, Alex Jones ran to banned.video, and of course he's got his own website to post videos on, when he was completely banned from YouTube and other social medias. As for BitChute, they have a more relaxed policy compared to YouTube. You could find tons of flat earth and spaces fake videos on there. There's little to no regulation, most likely explaining its entry. Medical miracles. Although the term can have different definitions, a medical miracle generally refers to an unexpected recovery despite a dire prognosis. Frequently, the phrase has a religious connotation and is used to describe a supernatural or paranormal healing. Take for example 4-year-old Noah's story. Since a baby, he had suffered multiple infections. After a test, they found that he had an immune deficiency syndrome, his body not being able to remember viruses to fight them off the next time, meaning he would regularly catch the same infections. After being in the hospital for 5 days with a large breakout of hives which left his skin blue and almost being put on a feeding tube, Noah woke up feeling energetic and wanting food. His disease vanished without any explanation. Or take 33-year-old Serena's case of colon cancer, one of the deadliest cancers you could have. Afraid that she was going to leave her son before watching him grow up, she would tell herself affirmations that she would live and have her 2 tumors healed, often praying alongside missionaries. A day after having a supernatural experience, she went into the Mayo Clinic and found that the tumors had completely disappeared, with no trace of any cancer within her body, after CT scans and blood work. Yoga is a New World Order ritual. This entry is basically claiming that yoga is a satanic New World Order ritual, and is overall contributing to this New Age philosophy perpetuated in the media. Some claim that yoga postures are offerings to the 33 million Hindu gods, and that once you do these breathing techniques and postures as required by yoga, you're accepted by the gods, which will in turn bring unbeknownst curses upon you and your family. COINTELPRO. This theory was actually proven to be true. COINTELPRO is a series of covert and illegal projects actively conducted by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, aka the FBI, aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting domestic American political organizations. FBI records show COINTELPRO resources targeted groups and individuals the FBI deemed subversive, including feminist organizations, the Communist Party USA, anti-Vietnam War organizers, activists of the civil rights movements, and Black Power movements, like Martin Luther King, the Nation of Islam, and the Black Panther Party. The FBI has used covert operations against domestic political groups since its inception. However, covert operations under the official COINTELPRO label took place between 1956 and 1971. Many of the tactics used include discrediting targets through psychological warfare, smearing individuals and groups using forged documents and planting false reports in the media, harassments, wrongful imprisonment, illegal violence, and assassination, according to some. All this supposedly being done in the name of protecting national security, preventing violence, and maintaining the existing social and political order. Here's a popular example. Beginning in 1969, leaders of the Black Panther Party were targeted by the COINTELPRO and neutralized by being assassinated, imprisoned, publicly humiliated, or falsely charged with crimes. The Overton Bridge. The Overton Bridge is a bridge in Scotland that for some reason or another compels dogs to jump off of it. Since the 1950s, numerous reports of dogs either falling or jumping from the bridge have been reported, with the incident often resulting in serious injury or death upon landing on the rocks some 50 feet below. The bridge is nicknamed the Dog Suicide Bridge. Various explanations for these deaths have been proposed, ranging from natural accidents to paranormal activity. Unfavorable Semicircle. Unfavorable
9%.
Semicircle is the name of a YouTube channel created in March 2015, which garnered attention for the high volume and unusual nature of the published videos. The videos often displayed abstract, pixelated images. In some cases, they show just a single dot in a field of solid brown. Some videos omit sound, while others feature distorted sounds. Due to the volume of the uploads and the odd nature of the videos, observers and people around the internet started to take notice. Eventually, a small community on Reddit formed to investigate the channel. Speculation as to what the channel might be used for includes it being used to test against the copyright system on YouTube to see how and why it's triggered. A piece of evidence could be in the title of the channel. The logo carries a semicircle in the middle and a circle around that, making out the copyright logo. A pretty scary sign for YouTubers. The channel had over 80,000 videos posted and a BBC article written about them, just before it being terminated by YouTube. Cartoons are real. This one's a bit wacky. This theory puts forth the idea that there is a wormhole or an alternate universe in which cartoons such as The Simpsons, Family Guy, or The Amazing World of Gumball are real living beings, and that the idea behind these characters by their creators were inspired by past life memories from other dimensions. There's also the other theory that states we're watching real life beings in cartoons simply in a 2D reality, explaining why there's a never-ending supply of Simpsons episodes. Purpose of dreaming. One widely held theory about the purpose of dreams is that they help you store important memories and things you've learned, get rid of unimportant memories, and sort through complicated thoughts and feelings. Research shows that sleep helps store memories better. If you learn new information and sleep on it, you'll be able to recall it better than if asked to remember the information without the benefit of sleep. Some also believe that sleep is an alternate reality, a different dimension that you slowly creep into when entering deep sleep, explaining why they trigger great emotional response, as they almost feel real.
It was 20 years in the making, but I did it. Purdue Global makes it to where you can achieve it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
This is a camera lucida, and throughout the 19th century, it was an indispensable drawing aid for artists and technical illustrators alike, and yet it's virtually unknown today. A camera lucida allows you to trace what you see. Technically, it superimposes a virtual image of your subject onto your paper, so you can see both your hand and your subject at the same time. This works for landscapes, figure drawing, and even copying other images. It radically transforms how you see and how you draw. So you might ask, where can I get one? Well, a portable camera lucida hasn't been manufactured in generations. An original camera lucida on eBay will run you from $300 to $500. At that price, it's a collectible or an antique, not an everyday tool. In 2013, I brought it back with authentic optics in a lightweight portable construction and at a price that more people could afford. Hi, I'm Pablo Garcia, and I'm a professor at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. In the year 2000, artist David Hockney proposed the ideas in this book, Secret Knowledge, Rediscovering the Lost Techniques of the Old Masters. In it, Hockney and co-author Charles Falco present compelling evidence that the old masters used various optical devices like the camera obscura, concave mirrors, and the camera lucida to help create their masterpieces. And by the way, some people really hated this book. They want to believe that the old masters somehow had superhuman drawing abilities, and they think that Hockney suggested that the old masters were somehow cheating by using optical drawing aids. But it's really the opposite. Many of us think it shows that the old masters were even more amazing because they made it their business to engage with the most cutting-edge technologies of their day, optics. After first reading about Hockney's argument, I bought an antique camera lucida and started drawing. One day, I showed the camera lucida to fellow professor and artist, and he was floored. Even though he was admittedly rusty, he was able to draw a quick likeness. And this is what the camera lucida is all about. Perspective, composition, and foreshortening are easier when your live subject is right there on your paper. But when we talked about using it with our students, we identified a problem. Antique camera lucidas are expensive. Most of our students hadn't even heard of it. To bring it to our students, someone would have to make one that is more accessible to everyone. The result? A camera lucida for today, the Neo Lucida. Now, to make this an authentic experience, I needed to get a few things right. First, optics. We used the exact same prism and mirror and glass optics as they did 100 and even 200 years ago. Second, portability. This is not bulky studio equipment. It's small, foldable, and you can just keep it in your bag. It weighs just 9 ounces or about 1/4 of a kilogram. And third, make this camera lucida easier to use. Antique camera lucidas are fussy equipment with lots of delicate hand-tooled parts. The Neo Lucida is designed with modern components to replicate the precision of the classic design, but with a more user-friendly experience. I was interested in making the Neo Lucida because I genuinely believe that using a camera lucida can affect the way that people see, how they draw, and how people think about art. And as a teacher, I love exploring the way that students can use technology to make art. After 10 years, users trying our different Neo Lucida models have found drawing less frustrating, a connection to art history, and inspiration to pick up the pencil and draw. So if you're just beginning your drawing journey, or maybe you're a more experienced artist, or just maybe there's someone in your life that likes to draw, I invite you. Try a Neo Lucida, and let's get drawing.
Consciousness after death. Consciousness after death is a common theme in society and culture in the context of life after death. Scientific research has established that the physiological functioning of the brain, the cessation of which defines brain death, is closely connected to mental states. However, many believe in some form of life after death, which is a feature of many religions. Neuroimaging correlation studies cannot determine whether neural activity plays a casual role in the occurrence of mental processes, thinking and imagining, because correlation doesn't imply causation, and they cannot determine if the neural activity is either necessary or sufficient for such process to occur. The closest thing we have through the lens of being dead comes in the form of NDE, near-death experiences, where some people recall having unique visions when nearly dead. A common experience when dying is people seeing a white glowing light right after passing out, and then what precedes is a unique experience. Some people see a godlike figure talking to them, a dead relative telling them that it's not their turn to leave the earth yet, and or leaving their body and seeing it in a third-person perspective. The Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones were a set of granite monuments that stood in Elbert County, Georgia, United States from 1980 to 2022. They were 19 feet 3 inches tall and made from 6 granite slabs weighing a total of 237,000 pounds. The structure was sometimes referred to as an American Stonehenge. According to the writing, the monument's creators believed that there was going to be an up-and-coming social, nuclear, or economic calamity, and they wanted the monument to serve as a guide for humanity in the world, which would exist after it. They initially garnered little controversy, but they ultimately became the subject of conspiracy theories, which alleged that they were connected to Satanism. The motive and creators remain unknown. Though on the morning of July 6, 2022, the Guidestones were heavily damaged in a mysterious bombing, and they were dismantled later that day. Jade Helm. The Jade Helm 15 conspiracy theories were based on the Jade Helm 15 United States military training exercises, which took place in multiple U.S. states between July 15th and September 15th, 2015. The exercise, which involved 1,200 personnel from 4 of the 5 branches of the U.S. military, was designed to train soldiers in skills needed to operate in overseas combat environments, including maneuvering through civilian populations. The announcements of these training exercises raised concerns and generated conspiracy theories that the exercise was a hostile military takeover. The conspiracy theories seem to emanate from the map shown here from the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, which divides the region into 4 colors, with 2 hostile states, 2 permissive states, 2 states leaning one way or the other, and California divided. Jim Shia wrote that the conspiracy theories included a psychological operation aimed at getting people used to seeing military forces on the streets, so they do not realize when an invasion actually takes place. An international operation aimed to seize people's guns. Recently closed Walmarts used by the military to stockpile supplies for Chinese troops who will be arriving to disarm Americans was also a prominent theory, and a military plan to round up political dissidents and remove key political figures who may be against the imposition of martial law. Other theories have described Jade Helm 15 as a secret plot to impose martial law, confiscate firearms, invade Texas, and institute total population control. Thank you for watching this far. I appreciate all of you guys, and thank you for almost getting me to 100,000 subscribers. I can't wait to reach that. Anyways, be sure to check out my other videos, but other than that, I'm tired. I'm gonna go eat. See you guys later. Peace.
Step into a new 2026 Sportage and set out on your next adventure from Bridgewater Kia. Wherever the road takes you, Sportage offers the perfect blend of performance, capability, technology, and comfort with class-leading cargo room and second-row legroom. Embrace the journey in a Kia Sportage. Click now to view our inventory during the Season of New Traditions.
You could be vaping formaldehyde, which is used in taxidermy.
Oh dear.
What?
Formaldehyde? Oh dear.
What? I knew it. Oh dear, oh dear. What?
Aren't you an elk?
I don't know what I am.
So, fun fact, when I made my Lost Media iceberg video, I actually thought I was late to the trend. Yeah, I had no idea this would be a thing. I don't plan on covering icebergs often, but this one on Lost Game Shows is interesting. It's an aspect of Lost Media that really isn't talked about, at least not on YouTube. Most people know about lost movies or lost TV shows, but game shows that rarely get any form of home media release go missing quite often. So that's the topic of today's video. To be completely honest, some of these entries are so unbelievably obscure that I can't even find solid information on them. Rest assured that like 90% of the iceberg is still in this video, and some of them do get really interesting. But seriously, they're just family-friendly trivia shows meant to waste time on. How dark could this iceberg possibly be? Wheel of Fortune NBC episodes. Kicking off this layer is Wheel of Fortune, which has several partially lost episodes and various cut material that has yet to resurface. From 1975 to 1981, recordings of the episodes were often taped over so the tape could be reused for more recent episodes. This was an extremely common practice at the time, as television content was seen as more disposable as opposed to how we preserve it nowadays. As a result, much of the early years of the show remain lost to this day, with only home recordings and television archives filling in the gaps here and there. While the wheel is certainly the most recognizable aspect of the show, filling in the missing puzzles is nearly as iconic. Throughout the years, some of these puzzles were omitted in post-production, usually as a result of real-world events or simple production errors. For the episode from November 2nd, 1992, the round 2 puzzle was initially meant to spell out "Vanna's pregnant," which would have announced the hostess' pregnancy. Sadly, shortly after the taping of this episode, she had a miscarriage. As a result, it was replaced with a 3-minute look at the filming of the episode, with it cutting back to the host telling the winner how much they won. Additionally, there were 2 puzzles related to Hurricane Katrina that were cut, one of which remains completely unknown. In its original run, the puzzles were replaced with the host encouraging viewers to donate to relief funds. Hurricane Katrina also affected filming of episodes as well, with 3 weeks of episodes planned to be filmed in New Orleans, from August 26th to August 28th. However, the hurricane struck before production was finished, and the crew had to be evacuated, leaving the episodes unfinished. Luckily, the contestants would get their chance to play in May of 2006. Dream House. Dream House was a game show where contestants would compete to win, you guessed it, a new house. While a good deal of the original series is able to be found easily online, some of the tapes were erased or taped over, which, as we mentioned before, was a common practice at the time. Though there are rumors that controversy surrounding the show played a part. The controversy being that TV Guide reported that none of the houses that were given away on the show were actually completed, and that many couples had to borrow much more than the $7,000 prize money to actually be able to afford the land that their dream house was built on. While the original series may be partially lost due to controversy, the reboot was far less lucky and has had all of its tapes destroyed. Unlike the original series, this was not intentional destruction. The master tapes of the entire series were in possession of the series creator, Don Reed, but they were destroyed by a flood in 2013. Luckily, several episodes have surfaced online, but aside from those, it would seem that the rest of the series is doomed to remain lost for the rest of time.
Oh no, your girlfriend's dad doesn't like his gift. Maybe there's time to get a deal on something else. Wait. Hey, you might just make it to New Year's after all.
It's been years. but the events are still etched in my memory. Lost worlds, frozen in time. New discoveries, waiting behind every door. Across every chasm. I didn't know then the path this adventure would send me on. But it lit a fire that still burns. I need to see more. I need to go further. To uncover the secret.
Jeopardy pilot. Another game show that needs no introduction is Jeopardy, the classic series all about trivia. While the series officially began on March 30th, 1964, a test pilot was actually recorded earlier that month on March 5th for a pitch to NBC. It was hosted by R. Fleming, announced by Don Pardo, and the contestants were Grace, Jerry, and Dolores, last names unknown, and with the winner being unknown as well. The pilot's whereabouts were unknown until the 4,000th episode aired on May 15th, 2002. Alex Trebek gave a retrospective on the original NBC series, and showed a 24-second snippet of the unaired pilots.
Let's play Jeopardy! There are your 6 categories for this half. Television, U.S. geography, women, bits and pieces, politics, the funnies. Any one of you may ring when you recognize the answer, and this will place you all in jeopardy.
In 2005, Sony released a DVD featuring 3 more clips of the pilot. Then, during NBC's 90th anniversary in February 2017, another brief clip was shown during their segment on game shows. The rest of the pilot has yet to resurface in any form, but it's clear that NBC has access to it, or at least parts of it. Perhaps someday we'll see more of it, but until then, we'll have to be content with these brief clips. Whoosh, soundtrack. And yeah, that's how it's pronounced, apparently.
Welcome to our show. You pronounce it whoosh, and you play it with 2 bright people, and here they are.
So, whoosh, was an incredibly short-lived game show that aired from 1979 to 1980, that featured Tom Kennedy as its host, and had an animated intro created by Hanna-Barbera. The main objective of the show was for 2 contestants to compete in order to correct bloopers, basically just popular phrases or lyrics that have had a word or 2 replaced. The show wasn't very popular, leading to its cancellation, but would gain a cult following in later years. Another reason why the show gained popularity was for its unique soundtrack, which was composed by Alan Thicke, who also did the themes for many other game shows, including Wheel of Fortune. No official release of the show's entire soundtrack was ever released after its cancellation, with only short clips, recreations, and the closing theme to the show surfacing. Not helping matters is that Alan Thicke doesn't even remember composing for the show, nor does he have the soundtrack in his possession. A rumor circulated that Thicke had destroyed the master reels of the soundtrack after an ugly divorce, but those rumors have never been confirmed. In 2012, the Museum of Television Production Music announced that they had found the soundtrack, restored it, and made it their renewal gift for subscribers until mid-2013. The only way the soundtrack in its entirety would be able to make it online is if any subscribers to the Museum of Television Production Music from 2013 were to upload it, but it seems unlikely. Demi Lovato's Beat Shazam appearance. Beat Shazam is a game show that is still currently airing, that was created by Jeff Aploff and Wes Cobble, and is hosted by singer and actor Jamie Foxx. The concept of the show is very similar to another game show called Name That Tune, but the difference here being that contestants had to name a song faster than the app Shazam, whose entire purpose is to recognize songs as fast as possible. There is one episode of the series that had a segment mysteriously edited